The rain poured heavily over the streets of Chicago that cold November night, as 30-year-old Claire Bennett stood outside a grocery store clutching two small hands tightly in hers. Her daughter Ava, only 10 years old, shivered beside her while little Mason leaned against her arm, half asleep from hunger and exhaustion. Just 6 months earlier, Claire had been a wife with dreams, laughter, and a small but happy family. But one terrible accident had shattered everything. Her husband, Nathan, never came home after his late-night construction shift, and in a single moment, Claire's entire world collapsed. The bills piled up faster than she could count, the landlord threatened eviction, and every night she cried silently after her children fell asleep because she had no idea how she would survive another day. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the strength of a mother's love, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even in the darkest moments, hope can still survive. Claire had never imagined becoming both mother and father overnight. She worked double shifts cleaning hotel rooms during the day and stocking shelves at a pharmacy late at night. Her hands became rough, her back constantly ached, and dark circles formed beneath her tired eyes. Yet every morning, before her children woke up, she forced herself to smile in the mirror because she knew they needed strength, not fear. Ava had started noticing the overdue notices hidden under books on the kitchen table, and Mason often asked why their refrigerator was sometimes almost empty. Claire always answered with a gentle smile, pretending everything would soon be okay, even though inside she felt herself drowning. Their tiny apartment sat above an old laundromat on the edge of the city. The heating barely worked during winter, and the sound of traffic outside never stopped. Some nights, Claire wrapped both children in blankets and pretended it was a fun camping game so they would not notice how cold the room really was. After the children fell asleep, she often sat alone beside the small kitchen window staring at the city lights while holding Nathan's photograph close to her chest. She missed him in every possible way. She missed his laugh, his encouragement, and the way he always believed she was capable of more than she saw in herself. Before marriage, Claire had dreamed of becoming a nurse. She had completed only 1 year of community college before financial problems forced her to quit. Life happened quickly after that. Marriage, children, bills, responsibilities. Her dreams slowly disappeared beneath survival. But one evening, something unexpected changed everything. While cleaning a hotel room, Claire found a graduation brochure left behind on the bedside table. The front page showed smiling adults in caps and gowns with the words, "It's never too late to start again." Claire stared at that sentence for a long time. Something deep inside her, something buried beneath grief and exhaustion, suddenly awakened. That night she could not sleep. She kept thinking about the version of herself she had abandoned years ago. The next morning, despite having only 4 hours of sleep, Claire visited the local community college before work. Her heart pounded as she walked through the campus filled with younger students laughing and talking about their futures. She almost turned around several times, embarrassed by her age and worn-out clothes. But then she remembered Ava watching her every day, learning from every decision she made. Claire realized that if she gave up on herself, her children might one day believe dreams were only for lucky people. She enrolled in evening classes that same week. The schedule nearly destroyed her. Claire woke up at 5 every morning, prepared breakfast, dropped the children at school, worked long hours cleaning hotel rooms, rushed to her pharmacy shift, then attended classes at night until nearly midnight. Most evenings she sat in the back of the classroom struggling to keep her eyes open while younger students typed quickly around her. Some nights she cried quietly in the restroom from exhaustion. Other students discussed vacations and parties while Claire worried about paying electricity bills and buying winter shoes for Mason. Still, she refused to quit. Ava began helping more around the apartment. Without being asked, she washed dishes, folded laundry, and helped Mason with homework. One evening Claire returned home to find a handwritten note taped to the refrigerator. In messy childish handwriting, Ava had written, "Mom, you are the strongest person I know." Claire stood there staring at the note while tears rolled silently down her cheeks. In that moment, she realized her children were no longer just watching her survive. They were watching her fight. Months passed, and life remained brutally hard. Claire often stuttered while sitting on buses between jobs. She memorized medical terms while waiting in grocery store lines and completed assignments during lunch breaks. Some professors noticed her determination. One instructor, Mrs. Harper, quietly offered extra tutoring sessions after class and sometimes slipped snacks into Claire's bag, pretending not to notice her embarrassment. Those small acts of kindness kept Claire going more times than anyone realized. But just when life finally seemed slightly manageable, disaster struck again. One freezing January morning, Mason became seriously ill. His fever climbed dangerously high, and Claire spent 3 sleepless nights beside his hospital bed. Missing work meant losing income they desperately needed. Missing exams threatened her grades. She sat alone in the hospital cafeteria one night, completely overwhelmed, wondering if life would ever stop testing her. Every sacrifice felt endless. Every step forward seemed followed by 2 painful steps backward. Then Ava quietly sat beside her and placed a small hand over Claire's trembling fingers. The little girl looked at her mother with tearful eyes and whispered something Claire would never forget. She said that even when things were hard, she never felt afraid because her mother always kept going. Those words changed something inside Claire forever. After Mason recovered, Claire returned stronger than before. She studied harder, worked longer, and refused to let exhaustion define her future. Slowly, her grades improved. Professors began praising her dedication. One day she received a letter informing her she had earned a partial scholarship due to academic excellence and perseverance. Claire read the letter 3 times before breaking down in tears in the middle of her tiny kitchen. For the first time since Nathan's death, she felt hope stronger than fear. Years passed quietly but powerfully. Ava grew into a thoughtful teenager, Mason became healthier and cheerful again, and Claire continued chasing the dream she once believed was impossible. There were still difficult nights, unpaid bills, and moments of doubt, but the difference now was that Claire no longer saw herself as broken. She saw herself as rebuilding. Finally, on a warm spring evening in Boston, Claire stood backstage wearing a navy blue graduation gown. Her hand shook as she adjusted her cap. The auditorium buzzed with proud families filling every seat. Claire searched the crowd until she found Ava and Mason smiling proudly in the front row. Mason waved both hands excitedly while Ava cried openly without trying to hide it. When Claire's name was called, the entire room erupted into applause, but the loudest voices belonged to her children. As she walked across the stage to receive her nursing degree, memories flooded her mind all at once. Cold nights without heat, crying alone beside unpaid bills, studying on crowded buses, and holding her children while silently praying life would someday change. Every painful moment had led to this single step forward. After the ceremony ended, Ava hugged her mother tightly and whispered, "Dad would be proud of you." Claire could no longer hold back her tears. For years she believed she was simply trying to survive. But standing there with her children in her arms, she realized she had done much more than survive. She had shown them what courage truly looked like. And life finally began changing in ways Claire never imagined. Within months, she secured a stable nursing position at a respected hospital. They moved into a brighter apartment with real heating, enough food, and space for the children to dream again. Mason proudly told classmates his mother was a hero, while Ava started talking about becoming a lawyer someday because she had learned that impossible dreams could still come true. But perhaps the most beautiful change happened quietly inside Claire herself. For the first time in many years, she no longer looked into the mirror and saw only exhaustion. She saw strength. She saw resilience. She saw a woman who refused to let tragedy become the end of her story. Before this story ends, tell us in the comments, what part of Claire's journey touched your heart the most? The truth is, millions of people carry invisible battles every single day. Some smile while silently grieving. Some keep working while their hearts are breaking. Some mothers sacrifice everything so their children can still believe in tomorrow. Claire's story reminds us that strength is not about never falling apart. Sometimes strength means waking up exhausted, heartbroken, and afraid, yet still choosing to keep going. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or reminded you of someone you love, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps these emotional stories reach people who may need hope today. And somewhere tonight, Perhaps another struggling mother is sitting beside a dim kitchen window wondering if life will ever get better. Maybe she needs to hear this most of all. Storms do not last forever, and even the most broken chapters can still lead to beautiful endings.